Russia, a country so vast it spans 11 time zones, where ancient volcanoes pierce Arctic skies, where emerald lakes hold more fresh water than entire continents, and where cathedrals rise like jeweled crowns against blood-red sunsets. This is Russia, a land where nature and humanity have conspired to create some of Earth's most extraordinary spectacles. From the frozen wilderness of Siberia to the subtropical beaches of the Black Sea, from underground palaces carved from salt to valleys that erupt in geothermal fury, Russia defies every expectation. Here you'll find forests so dense they've never known human footsteps, mountains that scrape the belly of heaven, and architectural masterpieces that make Paris look ordinary. But Russia's beauty isn't just in its scale, it's in its contrasts. Where else can you witness the northern lights dancing over medieval fortresses? Where else do flamingos migrate to lakes that freeze solid for half the year? Where else do underground rivers carve cathedrals from living rock? While above ground, human hands build monuments that rival nature's own artistry. Today we're embarking on a journey through 12 wonders that will redefine everything you thought you knew about beauty, about wilderness, and about the extraordinary forces that shape our planet. These aren't just pretty postcards. They're geological marvels, architectural impossibilities, and natural phenomena that scientists are still trying to fully understand. So buckle up. We're about to discover why Russia isn't just the world's largest country, it's one of its most breathtaking. Number 12. Lake Baikal. Deep in the heart of Siberia lies a body of water so ancient, so pure, and so impossibly vast that it holds secrets dating back 25 million years. Lake Baikal isn't just a lake, it's a liquid continent. A freshwater ocean trapped between mountain ranges, containing more water than all the Great Lakes combined. Standing on Baikal's shores, you're witnessing one of Earth's most profound geological stories. This isn't just water, it's the planet's memory, preserved in crystalline form. The lake stretches over 400 miles long and plunges to depths of over 5,000 feet, making it the deepest lake on Earth. But depth is just the beginning of Baikal's mysteries. The water here is so pure you can drink it straight from the source, so clear you can see the bottom 130 feet down. This transparency isn't accidental, it's the result of tiny crustaceans called epischura that act as living filters, consuming algae and keeping the water crystal clear. These microscopic janitors are just one of over 1,700 species found nowhere else on Earth. In winter, Baikal transforms into something otherworldly. The surface freezes into sheets of ice so clear they create natural skylights into the depths below. But this isn't ordinary ice, it's a living, breathing surface that cracks and groans with sounds like whale songs, creating pressure ridges that thrust upward like crystal mountains. The ice formations here are legendary, perfectly clear spheres, towering shards, and geometric patterns that look like abstract art carved by the gods. The lake sits in a rift valley that's still growing, widening by about 2 centimeters each year. This means Baikal is literally pulling apart the Asian continent, creating new geography in real time. Scientists believe that in 20 million years this rift will split Russia in two, creating a new ocean. For now, we get to witness this geological drama in its infancy. But perhaps most remarkable is what lives here. The Baikal seal, found nowhere else on Earth, has somehow adapted to freshwater life thousands of miles from the nearest ocean. These seals dive to depths of over 700 feet, hunting fish in water so cold they should be frozen solid. How marine mammals ended up in the middle of Siberia remains one of nature's great mysteries. In the remote wilderness of Kamchatka Peninsula, where civilization gives way to raw volcanic power, lies a valley that seems ripped from another planet. The Valley of Geysers is, honestly, a geological wonderland where the Earth's inner fire breaks through the surface in spectacular displays of steam, color, and primal energy. This isn't just a collection of hot springs, it's a living, breathing landscape where the ground itself is alive. Steam rises from multicolored pools that shift from emerald to turquoise to deep sapphire, their colors created by thermophilic bacteria that thrive in temperatures that would instantly kill most life forms. The air shimmers with heat, creating mirages that make the landscape appear to dance. The valley's most famous resident is Velikan, the giant, a geyser that erupts with such force it sends columns of boiling water and steam nearly 100 feet into the air. But Velikan is just the star of a much larger show. Over 20 major geysers punctuate this valley, each with its own personality and eruption schedule. Some are gentle and predictable, others explosive and temperamental. What makes this place truly extraordinary is its biodiversity. Despite the harsh conditions, life flourishes here in ways that challenge our understanding of what's possible. Heat-loving bacteria create living rainbows around the hot springs, while unique plants have evolved to thrive in soil that reaches temperatures of 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The valley exists in a microclimate that supports species found nowhere else on Earth. The landscape itself tells a story of volcanic violence. Kamchatka sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the Pacific Plate grinds against the North American Plate, creating a chain of active volcanoes that have shaped this region for millions of years. The geysers are simply the surface expression of this massive underground furnace, powered by magma chambers that lie just miles beneath your feet. Access to this wonder is strictly controlled. Only a few hundred people are allowed to visit each year, and getting there requires helicopter transport across hundreds of miles of roadless wilderness. This isolation has preserved the valley in its pristine state, a reminder of what Earth looked like before humanity's footprint covered the globe. The experience of standing in this valley is, well, visceral. The ground trembles with underground power, the air fills with sulfur and steam, and the sounds of bubbling mud and hissing geysers create a symphony of geological forces. It's a place where you can literally feel the planet's pulse beneath your feet. Rising from the dark waters of the White Sea like ancient sentinels, the Solovetsky Islands represent one of Russia's most profound intersections of natural beauty and human achievement. These 6 islands, connected by a maze of lakes, canals, and stone causeways, have witnessed over 500 years of continuous human habitation, yet they remain wild, mysterious, and utterly captivating. The centerpiece of this archipelago is the Solovetsky Monastery, a fortress-like complex whose massive stone walls seem to grow directly from the granite bedrock. Built in the 15th century using enormous boulders, some weighing several tons, the monastery represents an engineering marvel that still puzzles architects today. How medieval monks transported and positioned these massive stones without modern machinery remains one of Russia's great construction mysteries. But the monastery is just the most visible layer of the island's extraordinary history. Scattered across the landscape are over 1,000 ancient stone labyrinths and burial mounds, some dating back 5,000 years. These prehistoric spirals, built by unknown peoples, create intricate patterns that can only be fully appreciated from above. Their purpose remains enigmatic. Were they astronomical calendars, religious sites, or something else entirely? The island's natural beauty is equally compelling. Dense forests of spruce and pine give way to pristine lakes so clear they mirror the sky perfectly. Over 500 lakes dot the landscape, many connected by a sophisticated canal system built by the monks centuries ago. These waterways create a transportation network that turns the islands into a kind of northern Venice where boats glide silently through forests and meadows. Wildlife thrives in this protected environment. Beluga whales frequent the surrounding waters, their white forms ghosting through the dark sea. Seals haul out on rocky shores, while the island's forests shelter populations of Arctic foxes, brown bears, and over 180 species of birds. The meeting of Arctic and temperate ecosystems creates biodiversity that's remarkable for such a northern latitude. The White Sea itself adds another layer of wonder. This Arctic Sea, frozen for half the year, creates an otherworldly landscape in winter when the monastery appears to float above an endless expanse of white. In summer, the midnight sun paints the water in shades of gold and crimson, creating a light show that lasts for hours. Perhaps most intriguingly, the islands serve as a natural laboratory for studying how human activity and wilderness can coexist. The monks who built this monastery didn't conquer the landscape. They wove themselves into it, creating a harmony between human ambition and natural forces that has endured for centuries. Number 9. Lena Pillars. Along the banks of the Lena River in Siberia, nature has carved one of Earth's most spectacular stone galleries. The Lena Pillars rise like a petrified forest of skyscrapers, their weathered faces telling a story that stretches back 400 million years. These aren't just rock formations, they're time machines, preserving the history of life on Earth in their ancient limestone faces. The pillars stretch for over 40 kilometers along the river, creating a natural wall that rises up to 650 feet above the water. Each pillar is unique, sculpted by wind, water, and time into fantastic shapes that, honestly, just ignite the imagination. Some resemble Gothic cathedrals, others look like ancient warriors frozen in stone, and still others appear to be abstract sculptures created by some cosmic artist. What makes these formations truly extraordinary is their geological significance. The limestone from which they're carved was formed from the shells and skeletons of ancient marine creatures when this region lay beneath a tropical sea. Embedded in the rock are fossils of creatures that lived when the first complex life forms were emerging on Earth. The pillars are essentially a 400-million-year-old reef system, now thrust high above the modern landscape. The formation process itself is a masterpiece of natural engineering. Over millions of years, the Lena River cut through layers of limestone while freeze-thaw cycles expanded cracks and fissures. The extreme temperature variations of Siberia, from 60 degrees below zero in winter to 100 degrees above in summer, created a natural chisel that carved these magnificent monuments with precision no human sculptor could match. The area around the pillars is an ecological treasure trove. The unique microclimate created by the river valley supports species that exist nowhere else in the region. Ancient pines cling to impossible cliff faces, their roots finding purchase in cracks that seem too narrow to support life. The river itself is home to sturgeon, pike, and other fish species that have adapted to the extreme seasonal variations. In winter, the transformation is complete. The Lena River freezes solid, creating a highway of ice that locals use to travel between remote settlements. The pillars become even more dramatic, rising from a white expanse that stretches to the horizon. Frost creates delicate patterns on the rock faces, while the extreme cold preserves every detail of the ancient stone in crystalline clarity. The indigenous Even people have lived in this region for thousands of years, and their legends speak of the pillars as sacred places where spirits dwell. Modern science confirms that these formations are indeed special. They represent one of the best preserved examples of early Paleozoic marine ecosystems, providing crucial insights into how life on Earth evolved and diversified. Number 8. Kungur Ice Cave. Beneath the rolling hills of the Ural Mountains lies a frozen cathedral that defies every expectation of what exists underground. Kungur Ice Cave isn't just Russia's most spectacular underground wonder. It's a living, breathing ice sculpture gallery that changes with the seasons, creating new masterpieces every year while preserving others for centuries. Descending into Kungur is like entering another world. The temperature drops to a constant 32 degrees Fahrenheit, creating perfect conditions for ice formations that would make Elsa herself jealous. Massive stalactites and stalagmites of pure ice stretch from floor to ceiling, creating columns that sparkle like diamonds under artificial lighting. Some of these formations are so large they require names: the polar bear, the crocodile, the Titanic, each one a unique sculpture carved by the slow, patient work of dripping water and freezing air. The cave system stretches for over 3.5 miles through layers of gypsum and limestone, creating a labyrinth of chambers and passages that has been explored for over 300 years. But what makes Kungur truly special is how it breathes. The cave has its own weather system, with air currents that flow through passages, creating wind and temperature variations that shape the ice formations. In some areas, the ice is so clear you can see through it like glass. In others, it's white as fresh snow or blue as Arctic ice. The largest chamber, called the Brilliant Grotto, is a cathedral of ice that stretches 200 feet long and 60 feet wide. The ceiling disappears into darkness above while the floor is covered in a mirror-smooth sheet of ice that reflects the formations above, creating an infinity effect that makes the space seem to extend forever. The acoustics in this chamber are extraordinary. A whisper in one corner can be heard clearly across the entire space. But Kungur isn't just about ice. The cave is also home to underground lakes that never freeze, their dark waters reflecting the ice formations above like black mirrors. These lakes support unique ecosystems adapted to the cave environment, including blind fish and crustaceans that have evolved without eyes in the eternal darkness. The cave's history is as fascinating as its formations. It was first explored in the 1720s, making it one of the world's oldest show caves. Local legends speak of hermits who lived in the cave's depths and smugglers who used its passages to hide from authorities. During World War II, the cave served as a secret storage facility for precious artifacts evacuated from museums. The most remarkable thing about Kungur is how it changes. Each season brings new formations as water patterns shift and temperatures fluctuate. What you see today might be completely different 6 months from now, making every visit a unique experience. The cave is literally alive, constantly creating new art while preserving ancient masterpieces in its frozen galleries. Number 7. Pudorana Plateau. In the remote heart of Siberia, beyond the reach of roads and civilization, lies a landscape so pristine and powerful it seems to exist outside of time itself. The Putorana Plateau is Russia's lost world, a table mountain wilderness where waterfalls cascade from heights that dizzy the mind, where lakes stretch to horizons that blur the line between water and sky, and where the very rocks tell stories of volcanic violence that shape the planet. This isn't just a plateau, it's a geological monument to one of Earth's most catastrophic events. 250 million years ago, massive volcanic eruptions covered this region in layers of basalt that reached depths of over 6,000 feet. The result is a landscape of flat-topped mountains, deep canyons, and cliff faces that rise like walls from pristine lakes. It's a terrain so unique that scientists consider it a separate geological province unlike anywhere else on Earth. The numbers alone are staggering. The plateau contains over 25,000 lakes, many of them so remote they've never been named. These aren't small mountain ponds. Some stretch for dozens of miles, their waters so clear you can see the bottom at depths of 150 feet. The largest, Lake Lama, is longer than Lake Geneva and deeper than Lake Ontario, yet it remains virtually unknown to the outside world. But it's the waterfalls that truly define Putorana's character. With over 18,000 waterfalls scattered across the plateau, this region contains more cascades than any other place on Earth. Some are gentle streams that whisper down moss-covered rocks, others are thundering torrents that plunge over 600-foot cliffs with such force they create their own weather systems. The spray from these falls creates constant rainbows, turning the entire landscape into a prism of light and color. The isolation of Putorana has preserved ecosystems that exist nowhere else. Arctic foxes and wolves roam the tundra, while the lakes support populations of Arctic char and lake trout that have evolved in isolation for millions of years. The plateau serves as a crucial migration route for caribou, whose ancient paths cross the landscape like highways carved by countless generations of hooves. In winter, Putorana transforms into an Arctic wonderland. The waterfalls freeze into massive ice sculptures, creating formations that resemble frozen tornadoes and crystalline chandeliers. The plateau becomes a landscape of white silence, broken only by the crack of shifting ice and the howl of Arctic winds. Yet even in this frozen state, life persists. Musk oxen paw through snow to reach Arctic willow, while snowy owls patrol the skies on silent wings. The air itself is different here. At this latitude, the atmosphere is thinner, the light more intense. The midnight sun of summer creates a landscape where time seems suspended, where the golden hour lasts for weeks. In winter, the aurora borealis paints the sky in sheets of green and blue, reflecting off the ice-covered lakes like a cosmic light show. Number 6. Church of the Intercession on the Nurl. In a meadow beside the gentle Nurl River where wildflowers nod in summer breezes and winter snow creates a blanket of pristine white, stands a building that seems to have been placed by angels themselves. The Church of the Intercession on the Nurl isn't just architecture, it's poetry written in stone, a perfect harmony of human vision and natural setting that has moved hearts for over 850 years. And just when you think it can't get better, wait until you see number 1. Built in 1165, this single-domed church represents the pinnacle of medieval Russian architecture. Its white limestone walls rise with mathematical precision, yet every line flows with organic grace. The proportions are so perfect that the building seems to float above its foundation, defying gravity through pure aesthetic harmony. No matter from which angle you approach, the church presents a new face, a different relationship with the sky and landscape around it. The genius of its design lies in the details. The walls aren't perfectly straight. They lean slightly inward, creating an optical illusion that makes the building appear taller and more elegant. The dome isn't quite circular, it's slightly elongated, which creates a sense of upward movement that draws the eye to heaven. These aren't accidents or structural compromises, they're deliberate design choices that demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of visual psychology. But the church's true magic comes from its relationship with the landscape. Built on an artificial hill in a floodplain, it was designed to appear to rise directly from the water during spring floods. For centuries, pilgrims arriving by boat would see this white jewel seemingly floating on the surface of the river, an impossible vision that spoke of divine intervention. Even today, when the waters rise, the church creates one of the most photographed scenes in Russia. The setting changes with the seasons like a living painting. In spring, the meadow explodes with wildflowers, purple lupins, yellow buttercups, and white daisies that echo the church's color scheme. Summer brings tall grasses that wave in the breeze, creating a green sea around the white monument. Autumn paints the landscape in gold and crimson, while winter transforms everything into a crystalline wonderland where the church stands like a beacon of warmth against the cold. The church has survived wars, revolutions, and the collapse of empires, yet it remains essentially unchanged. Its limestone walls have weathered to a soft cream color, and its proportions remain as perfect as the day it was completed. Inside, fragments of ancient frescoes hint at the spiritual life that once filled these walls with prayer and song. What makes this building truly remarkable is how it achieves maximum impact with minimum means. There are no elaborate decorations, no towering spires, no massive size. Instead, the church relies on pure form, perfect proportions, and seamless integration with its natural setting. It's a masterpiece of restraint, proving that sometimes the most powerful statements are made in whispers, not shouts. If this journey has already left you breathless, hit that subscribe button. We're only halfway through. Number 5. Altai Mountains, where 4 great nations meet, Russia, China, Mongolia, and Kazakhstan. The Altai Mountains rise like a backbone of the continent, their peaks reaching toward heaven while their valleys cradle secrets that have shaped human civilization for millennia. This isn't just a mountain range, it's a living library of evolution, a crossroads of cultures, and a wilderness so pristine it exists as one of the last great refuges for species that once roamed across continents. The Altai isn't just tall, it's diverse beyond imagination. In a single day, you can travel from glaciated peaks where the air is so thin, your lungs burn with every breath, down through alpine meadows carpeted with flowers that bloom for just a few weeks each year, into taiga forests where Siberian cedars have stood for over 500 years, and finally into steppes where wild horses run free across grasslands that stretch to the horizon. This diversity isn't accidental, it's the result of geography and climate creating one of Earth's most complex ecosystems. The mountains act as a climate barrier, creating dozens of microclimates that support an extraordinary range of life. Here, Arctic species live just miles from temperate ones, while high-altitude specialists have evolved in isolation on individual peaks. The result is a biological treasure trove that continues to yield new species to science. The crown jewel of the Altai is Belukha Mountain, the highest peak in Siberia at 14,783 feet. Its glaciated summit rises like a white pyramid above the surrounding ranges, feeding rivers that flow to the Arctic Ocean. The mountain is considered sacred by local peoples, who believe it's the dwelling place of the goddess Umai, protector of children and fertility. Climbers who reach its summit report a sense of spiritual transformation that goes beyond the physical achievement. But the Altai's beauty isn't just in its heights, it's in its waters. The region is home to over 3,500 lakes, each one a different shade of blue, green, or turquoise depending on its depth, mineral content, and algae populations. Lake Teletskoye, the largest, is so deep and clear, it's been called the Pearl of Altai. Fed by glacial melt and mountain springs, its waters remain cold even in summer, creating a natural refrigerator that preserves the lake's pristine condition. The human history of the Altai is as rich as its natural heritage. For thousands of years, this region has been a crossroads for nomadic peoples, a meeting point where different cultures traded goods, ideas, and genes. The famous Altai Princess, a 2,500-year-old mummy discovered in the permafrost, shows evidence of cultural influences from across Eurasia. Her elaborate tattoos and burial goods tell stories of a sophisticated society that flourished in these mountains when Rome was still a collection of hilltop villages. Today, the Altai remains one of the last places on Earth where you can experience true wilderness. Brown bears fish for salmon in pristine streams, while snow leopards prowl the highest peaks. The endangered Altai argali, a massive wild sheep with horns that can weigh over 60 pounds, roams the high plateaus. Golden eagles soar on thermals that rise from sun-warmed valleys, their keen eyes scanning for prey across territories that span hundreds of square miles. Number 4. Derbent Fortress. On the shores of the Caspian Sea, where Europe meets Asia and ancient trade routes carved passages through mountain valleys, stands a fortress that has witnessed over 2,000 years of human ambition, conflict, and survival. Derbent isn't just Russia's oldest city, it's a living monument to the power of strategic geography, a place where the fate of empires was decided by walls of stone and the courage of those who defended them. The fortress's position is nothing short of strategic genius. Built where the Caucasus Mountains meet the Caspian Sea, it controls the only coastal passage between Europe and Asia. For millennia, anyone wanting to travel or trade between these continents had to pass through Derbent's gates. The ancient Persians called it Darband, the Gate of Gates, and built massive walls that stretched from the fortress to the sea, creating an impregnable barrier that could be controlled by a relatively small garrison. The walls themselves are engineering marvels that demonstrate the sophisticated military architecture of the ancient world. Built from local limestone blocks, some weighing several tons, they rise to heights of over 60 feet and stretch for miles across the landscape. The construction techniques used here, including a mortar made from egg whites, lime, and sand, have proven so durable that sections built 1,500 years ago remain intact today. But Derbent's true significance lies in its role as a cultural crossroads. Over the centuries, it has been ruled by media, reenactment or documentary-style Persians in ancient attire near fortress, Persian artifacts displayed in Derbent, Persians, Arabs, Mongols, Turks, and Russians, each leaving their mark on the city's architecture, culture, and population. The result is a unique blend of civilizations that exist nowhere else on Earth. Ancient mosques stand beside Christian churches, while traditional Caucasian houses line streets that have been walked by merchants, warriors, and pilgrims for over 2 millennia. The fortress complex includes the Naran Kala Citadel, a triangular stronghold that rises above the city like a stone crown. Within its walls are remnants of palaces, bathhouses, and cisterns that tell the story of a sophisticated urban civilization. The water management system alone is a marvel. Ancient engineers carved channels through solid rock to bring fresh water from mountain springs, creating a supply that could sustain the fortress through years of siege. The view from the fortress walls is breathtaking in its historical significance. To the east, the Caspian Sea stretches to the horizon, its waters reflecting the light of countless sunrises and sunsets witnessed by defenders on these ramparts. To the west, the Caucasus Mountains rise like a wall of stone and snow, their peaks hiding valleys where dozens of unique cultures have flourished in isolation for centuries. The archaeological discoveries at Derbent continue to rewrite history. Recent excavations have revealed evidence of habitation dating back to the 6th century BCE, making it one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Artifacts found here include media, display of Persian silver, Chinese silk, Byzantine gold artifacts, close-up rotating ancient trade goods, Persian silver, Chinese silk, and Byzantine gold. Proof of Derbent's role as a hub of international commerce when most of the world was still isolated by geography and ignorance. Today, walking through Derbent's ancient streets is like traveling through time. The narrow alleys between stone houses echo with the sounds of daily life, while the calls to prayer from ancient minarets mix with the laughter of children playing in courtyards that have sheltered families for generations. The fortress walls still stand guard over the city, their stones warmed by the same sun that has risen over the Caspian for millions of years. Number 3. Peterhof Palace. Rising from the shores of the Gulf of Finland like a vision from a fairy tale, Peterhof Palace represents the apex of royal ambition made manifest in stone, gold, and cascading water. This isn't just a palace, it's a testament to the power of human imagination when resources are unlimited and vision knows no bounds. Peter the Great didn't just build a summer residence here, he created a liquid cathedral where water itself becomes architecture. The moment you approach Peterhof, you understand you're witnessing something unprecedented. The Grand Palace stretches across the landscape like a golden crown, its Baroque facade extending over 1,000 feet and painted in shades of blue and gold that seem to capture and reflect the sky itself. But the palace is merely the backdrop for the real star of this show, the most spectacular water feature ever created by human hands. The Grand Cascade is pure theater made from water and bronze. Over 140 fountains and 64 water features create a liquid symphony that can be heard from miles away. Water rushes down marble steps, shoots from hidden jets, and dances around golden statues in patterns that seem to defy gravity. The centerpiece is the famous Samson Fountain, where a golden figure tears open the jaws of a lion, sending a column of water 75 feet into the air, with such force it creates its own weather system. But the genius of Peterhof lies not just in its spectacle, but in its engineering. Every drop of water that feeds these fountains comes from natural springs located miles away in the Ropsha Heights. An elaborate system of canals, pipes, and reservoirs brings this water to the palace using only gravity. No pumps, no electricity, just the brilliant application of hydraulic principles that would make Roman engineers weep with envy. The palace interiors are equally magnificent. The throne room blazes with gold leaf and mirrors, creating an infinite reflection of imperial power. The Chesma room tells the story of Russian naval victories through elaborate ceiling frescoes, while the Chinese rooms showcase Peter's fascination with Eastern culture through lacquered panels and silk wallpaper. Each room is a masterpiece of decorative art, yet they all serve the greater purpose of proclaiming Russian Empire's arrival as a European power. The gardens surrounding the palace are masterpieces of landscape architecture. The upper garden features geometric patterns of flower beds and topiary that create living art visible from the palace windows. The lower park stretches to the sea, its 300 acres containing over 150 fountains, each one a unique work of art. Hidden among the trees are trick fountains that spray unsuspecting visitors, turning the entire garden into an elaborate playground for adults. The seasonal transformations of Peterhof are as dramatic as its permanent features. In winter, the fountains freeze into crystal sculptures, while the palace glows against the snow like a beacon of warmth. Spring brings the fountain opening ceremony, when thousands gather to witness the resurrection of the water displays. Summer sees the white nights of St. Petersburg, when the palace and gardens bask in light that seems to last forever. Perhaps most remarkably, Peterhof has survived wars, revolutions, and the collapse of empires. During World War II, German forces occupied the palace for over 2 years, causing massive damage. Yet the painstaking restoration that followed didn't just repair the damage, it returned Peterhof to a splendor that exceeds even its original glory. Today, walking through these halls and gardens, you're experiencing a vision of beauty that has been refined and perfected over 3 centuries. Number 2. St. Basil's Cathedral. In the heart of Moscow, where Red Square opens like a vast stage set for the drama of Russian history, stands a building so fantastical it seems to have been conjured from the pages of a fairy tale. St. Basil's Cathedral isn't just architecture, it's an explosion of color, faith, and artistic vision that defies every convention of building design and creates something entirely new under the sun. Your first glimpse of St. Basil's is always shocking. 9 onion domes rise from a cluster of chapels, each one painted in colors that seem to pulse with their own inner light. Swirling stripes of red and white spiral up some towers, while others glow in solid blues, greens, and golds. The patterns are so complex, so seemingly random, that your eye keeps discovering new details. A golden star here, a geometric pattern there, a window shaped like a teardrop in a wall that curves like a living thing. Yet this apparent chaos is actually mathematical precision disguised as whimsy. The cathedral's design is based on the number 8, with 8 chapels surrounding a central tower, creating a plan that's both geometrically perfect and visually explosive. The architects, possibly named Barma and Postnik, though their identities remain mysterious, created a building that's simultaneously a work of art, a feat of engineering, and a theological statement about the nature of paradise. The cathedral's origin story is as dramatic as its appearance. Commissioned by Ivan the Terrible in 1555 to celebrate the capture of Kazan, it was built to represent the heavenly Jerusalem described in the Book of Revelation. Each of the 8 chapels is dedicated to a saint whose feast day coincided with a Russian victory, while the central tower represents Christ himself. The entire building is essentially a prayer made manifest in stone and paint. But St. Basil's true genius lies in how it transforms throughout the day and seasons. In the golden light of dawn, the domes seem to glow from within, their colors soften to pastels that blend with the sky. At noon, the walls become a riot of saturated color that can be seen from miles away. As evening approaches, the shadows between the chapels create a dramatic interplay of light and dark that makes the building appear to breathe. The interior is as surprising as the exterior. Instead of one vast space, the cathedral contains a maze of narrow corridors and intimate chapels, each one decorated in a different style. The walls are covered in frescoes that tell biblical stories, while the low ceilings create a sense of intimacy that contrasts sharply with the building's explosive exterior. Moving through these spaces is like walking through a jewel box where each compartment holds a different treasure. The cathedral's survival is itself a miracle. Stalin reportedly wanted to demolish it to make Red Square more suitable for military parades, but the building's popularity with the Russian people saved it from destruction. During World War II, it was camouflaged with paint to make it less visible to German bombers. Today, it stands as one of the most photographed buildings in the world, its image instantly recognizable as the symbol of Russia itself. What makes St. Basil's truly revolutionary is how it abandons traditional architectural rules in favor of pure artistic expression. There's no facade, no front or back. The building looks equally spectacular from every angle. The proportions ignore classical mathematical ratios in favor of visual impact. The colors clash by every rule of design, yet somehow create a harmony that's more beautiful than any careful color scheme. Standing before St. Basil's, you understand why visitors often gasp when they first see it. This isn't just a building, it's a vision of what architecture can be when freed from convention and allowed to soar on wings of pure imagination. It's a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful things in the world are those that refuse to follow the rules. In the heart of St. Petersburg, where the Neva River curves like a silver ribbon through a city built on dreams of European grandeur, stands a complex of buildings that represents the single greatest accumulation of human artistic achievement under one roof. The Hermitage isn't just a museum, it's a universe of beauty, a treasure house that contains over 3 million works of art, and a palace complex so magnificent it makes Versailles look modest by comparison. The Hermitage's story begins with Catherine the Great, who transformed what started as a private retreat into the greatest art collection in the world. But calling it a collection kind of diminishes its true significance. This is nothing less than the visual history of human civilization, from ancient Egyptian sculptures to contemporary masterpieces, from Scythian gold to impressionist paintings that still seem wet with paint. The buildings themselves are works of art. The Winter Palace, painted in distinctive blue and gold, stretches for over 500 feet along the Neva River, its Baroque facade decorated with hundreds of columns, statues, and decorative elements that create a rhythm of light and shadow across the massive structure. The green and white striped facade seems to dance in the northern light, while the golden domes of the palace church catch fire in the sunset. But the exterior is merely a prelude to the treasures within. The Jordan staircase, carved from Carrara marble and decorated with gilded bronze, rises like a frozen waterfall toward ceilings painted with mythological scenes. The malachite room blazes with green stone so rich it seems to glow from within, while the gold drawing room displays such an abundance of precious metal that the walls themselves seem to be made of treasure. The Great Throne Room, also known as St. George's Hall, spans over 3,000 square feet and rises to a height of 50 feet. Its white marble columns support a ceiling decorated with elaborate moldings and chandeliers that cast rainbows of light across the polished parquet floor. This is where the czars held court, where the fate of empires was decided, where the most powerful people in the world came to pay homage to Russian imperial power. Yet for all its imperial splendor, the Hermitage's true magic lies in its art collection. Here you can stand just inches away from paintings by Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, and Picasso. The collection includes two of the world's most famous paintings, Rembrandt's The Return of the Prodigal Son, which is honestly a masterpiece of light and shadow that seems to glow with inner spirituality, and Da Vinci's Madonna Lita, one of only a handful of paintings by the Renaissance master held outside of Italy. The Impressionist collection alone, well, it would make the Hermitage a world-class museum all by itself. Monet's water lilies seem to shimmer with actual water, while Renoir's figures just glow with the warmth of Parisian sunlight. Cézanne's Mont Sainte-Victoire appears to change color as you watch, and Van Gogh's brushstrokes, they seem to pulse with the artist's passionate energy. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the Hermitage is its sheer scale. The museum contains over 1,000 rooms spread across 6 buildings, with corridors that, honestly, stretch for miles. It would take years to see everything, and even then, you'd probably miss countless details. The museum's cats, descendants of those brought by Catherine the Great to control rodents, patrol the basement corridors like furry guardians of civilization's greatest treasures. The Hermitage has survived revolution, war, and the collapse of empires. During the siege of Leningrad, curators risked their lives to protect the collection, moving priceless works to safety while the city starved around them. Today, the museum stands as a testament to the power of art to transcend politics, war, and time itself. Walking through the Hermitage is like traveling through the entire history of human creativity. In a single day, you can journey from ancient Greece to modern Russia, from Egyptian pharaohs to French impressionists, from medieval icons to contemporary installations. Each room opens like a new chapter in the story of human artistic achievement, revealing new wonders and honestly forgotten masterpieces. From the frozen wilderness of Siberia to the golden halls of imperial palaces, From ancient fortresses that have weathered the storms of history to natural wonders that defy explanation, Russia reveals itself as a country where every horizon holds a new miracle. These 12 wonders represent more than just beautiful places. They're windows into the soul of a nation that has always dreamed on an epic scale. Here, in the world's largest country, nature and humanity have conspired to create spectacles that challenge our understanding of what's possible. Where else can you find lakes that hold more water than entire seas, caves carved from living ice, and buildings that look like they were designed by angels? Where else do ancient civilizations leave their mark alongside geological forces that have shaped continents? Russia's beauty lies not just in its scale, but in its contrasts. It's a country where Arctic wilderness meets subtropical beaches, where medieval fortresses stand guard over high-tech cities, where the deepest lake on Earth reflects the same sky that shelters the world's greatest art collection. These contrasts create a tapestry of experience that's uniquely Russian, bold, passionate, and utterly unforgettable. Each wonder we've explored tells a story not just of Russia, but of our planet itself. From the ancient limestone of the Lena pillars to the engineered perfection of Peterhof's fountains, from the natural laboratories of Kamchatka to the cultural crossroads of Derbent, these places remind us that beauty isn't just about appearance. It's about the stories that landscapes and buildings tell about the forces that created them. The journey through Russia's wonders is really a journey through time itself. You witness the birth of mountains, the flow of rivers, the rise and fall of empires, and the eternal human desire to create something beautiful that will outlast our brief time on Earth. These places have witnessed ice ages and revolutions, the migration of peoples and the evolution of species, the dreams of emperors and the prayers of pilgrims. If this journey amazed you, subscribe and share it with someone who loves discovery. Some places you visit, others stay with you forever. Until the next destination, stay curious.